Beautiful people. Rental yield. What is it? How do you calculate it? And what should you be chasing with commercial and residential property with yield? Stay tuned.
I'm the ringleader, so listen up.
Josh Rapshot,
Mark Novak, good morning.
how are you? The real estate economist, we call you in the office.
Yeah, good. Busy. Yourself, you just come back from ARIC. You had a good time?
It was great. Biggest real estate conference in second biggest real estate conference in the world. 6,000 real estate agents, and it was fun. And we were talking about rent with a couple of people out there, what rents are doing. Can you explain to us what a yield is, and how you actually calculate it, Josh? Because I think I had a property manager of 20 years talking to me last night. She said something was 700 grand and it was 700 a week. And she said, that's a 10% yield. And I was like, so some of us in the business don't even know what it is. Can you explain it, please?
Yeah, of course. So essentially, to get a yield on a property, you're going to take the income on the property. So that was that $700 a week times the 52. You're somewhere around that sort of 35 to 37,000 or thereabouts. And then you would take the asset that you either purchased it for or its valuation now. So you'll divide the rent by the value of the property, which will then in turn give you the yield that it's returning. So how much it's returning per year based off that initial purchase price or value. And yeah, funnily enough, I wanted to come on this morning and speak a bit about commercial, and you did some pretty cool stuff with residential without us even really speaking this morning. So tell us about what you did. That was quite interesting with the Claude.
Yeah, I was yielding overnight. So what's interesting is we all think to ourselves, okay, well, yield. I guess there's two returns on your investment. One's going to be the capital growth, and that's how that's going to perform over a year or say even 10 years. And then there's how the rent's going to perform over the year on the value of the property. And we often talk in our industry, buyers are always asking us in our industry, what's the better return? Is the better return a one-bedroom unit? Is the better return a two-bedroom unit or a three-bedroom unit when it comes to rent? When you're looking at yield, and don't forget, as Josh pointed out, yield is the annual rent over the purchase price of the property. So when I did that, I got AI to do this for us, and it took a while. I said, look at the last 1,200 sales in DY over the last 2 years, analyze put them in categories of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom. And if any of those properties have actually rented in the last 12 months, tell us what they rented for in price category. Accumulate all that information and tell me what percentage return I get on a one bedder, what percentage return I get on a two bedder, and what percentage I get on a three bedder. And then I want you to tell me on a percentile how each of those performed. And I restricted it to DY because DY was a great, there's a lot of units in DY. It's a good, there's a lot of stuff to crunch. So we used DY and it gave me this. And I said, can you please put it in a graph?
Wow. And for anyone that can't see that, guys, it's basically got the 1, 2, and 3 bedroom category there. 1 bedroom from $750 to $850, generally generating around $695 to $730 per week rent, yielding at 5%. Then we've got 2 bedrooms, $800 to $930, a rental of $750 to $850, gross yield of 4.8. And then we move up to the 3 bedroom category from about 1.7 purchase price, rent $1,250 to $1,350 per week, returning 4% gross. And I guess probably probably worthwhile just explaining what gross and net, guys. So with a gross yield, that doesn't take into account your expenses on the property, generally your outgoings. So those things are going to be your council rates, your strata rates, etc. When we call a net yield, which is something that's more referred to in commercial, it's where the tenant actually pays the agreed rent, plus they also cover the outgoings on the property, which is generally bit of a positive or a point of difference in commercial assets.
Who's the
Yeah,
winner?
I think if based on that, the one better, it's yielding the most, the easiest to enter, and generally you don't see that. Everyone sort of pushes himself for the two better, thinking I've got the extra bedroom, I might be able to rent it out separately. There's always more work that comes out of that, but yeah, it looks like the one better is the winner here. Mark, what do you see?
Well, it looks like, I think for numbers, you may go, oh, look, 4.8%, 5%, 4%, it's all same. But the one better, as an example of the disparity, is a 20% return bigger than the three better unit in our area of DY. You can do this for any suburb. Now, a 20% different return on your money invested is a lot. But when you start compounding that over the first year, over the second year, over the third year, over the 10th year, you start talking about megabucks. So when you're looking at the difference between those numbers, that is bloody megabucks, the difference between a one bedroom and a three bedroom. And that is why yield is such an expensive thought, dialogue, concept, consideration for people, because when you start layering a number as an interest, as a percentile, and it starts growing on itself, it's like a snowball effect. When the snowball starts in the snow, and as the surface area of the snowball gets bigger, it picks up more snow, so it gets bigger quicker. Or if you look at it like the toilet paper roll effect, when you pull the dunny roll, it goes a lot faster towards the end. That's compounding, and that's what a rate of return can do if you get it right.
Definitely, and I think it's something also, if all these changes were passed through by the Senate with this the recent budget we've had, I think yield is something to consider even more so now, because based off these new rules, you can only claim a rental loss against a rental income. So I think yielding properties, they're going to be a hot commodity, but generally what ends up happening is other people figure this out, and the purchase prices of those assets increase because there's more demand for them, and they end up bringing the overall yield down, because all of a sudden you're purchasing the same asset for more, but it might be yielding at the same rate. So it's a tricky little system how it all works, but I think it's very important, the whole yield factor, because you want to be getting to parity, or servicing an income against that property, so that you can claim back the losses in your first 5 to 10 years that you would have been at a loss. So I think it's very important, the yields these days. And funnily enough, I'm actually seeing a bit of a change in the commercial market as well, that I wanted to bring up, Mark.
Really?
And this is buyer's agents, so acting on behalf of a number of professionals that are looking to invest in property. I had a call last week from a gentleman acting on the behalf of a few clients. They were looking at a project we have up at 7 Rodborough Road. And he said something that really surprised me. He said the clients love the project, and they're open to 5.3% net yields. Now, guys, take us back 12 months. These guys would be having the same conversations with me, but it'd be a struggle if it was below 6%. And really, they would probably be aiming towards a 7% return on commercial property. So to see these buyer's agents, in a way, coming out and chasing 5%, 5.3% yields, I think that's a big change in the commercial space. Wouldn't you say so, Mark?
Oh, it's huge. And something I think also that should be considered, guys, and this is the secret one that no one ever talks about, is the cost of capital. Because a lot of people chase the residential, a lot of people chase the commercial, but what people forget about the residential is it needs 50%. Sorry, your commercial needs 50% more equity injection to get that extra rental return. What I mean by that is residential you can do on a 20% deposit, comfy as an investor. Comfy. You can do it on 90%, but let's just say comfy. And comfy commercial is actually a 30% deposit. So you need an extra 50% equity to enter into the commercial market, which people normally have anyway, but I want to let you know. And then that means that you're getting that extra 1% in rent, but it's costing you an extra 1% in interest rates. So there's a couple of things you want to consider. Is that residential yield. You've got to look at your interest rates, what you pointed out, Josh, which is who's paying your outgoings, and you've got to look at how much deposit you've got to put in for it.
Definitely. But yeah, I think it's something that, like, unless it's probably not talked about with your everyday person. Probably someone that's maybe got the 2-3 properties, or as a commercial investor, you generally hear a lot more about yields. But I think it's something to be spoken about in every household, and ensure that you're getting the best out of your investment. And very important in this new landscape and infrastructure we're moving into.
You may be a senior in your business and be embarrassed even to ask these questions about differentiating. That's great about podcasts like this, where you can just actually learn, not get embarrassed.
Exactly right. And remember, guys, the comments is always there, so feel free to ask away. And we're always here to take a call 7 days a week, 24/7.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wapshot. Anything else to add?
No, nothing else to add there. I think, tight pockets at northern beaches, your eastern suburbs will continue to always do well. And it's the smart investor that can navigate the landscape and generally makes the move before the others do, that reap the benefits. No risk, no reward.
Boom, boom. Have a great day.
You too. See you guys. Thank you.
Everyone, take care. Bye-bye.